Today is the day that your book begins. Today is the day that your book begins. The rest is still unwritten. Think about that. Up to this moment in your life, everything has been written. From this minute forward, the rest is unwritten. From this minute forward. That means the rest of your Sunday is unwritten. That means the rest of your week, your Monday, your Tuesday, your Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, even your next Sunday is unwritten. Even if there are things on the calendar, there are things that you have the ability to move. It's unwritten. It's unscripted. We're all living these unscripted lives. Even when we try to control them, it is still unscripted. And that's power. That's power. That means that I'm never confined to my present circumstances. Whatever they are, no matter how good or bad they are, I am never confined to my present circumstances. I always have the ability to write a new passage, to make a new choice, to go in a new direction. And the pen is in my hand. Thank you, music team. You guys are phenomenal. That was spectacular, unwritten. Okay, we have come to, I think, what may be my favorite step. And it's speak with emotion. And I love this step so much because I discovered this step before reading Mae McCarthy. So it was like a delightful treat when I discovered that this was something she was recommending that we do. And I was like, oh my God, I already have that technique in my arsenal. I was so excited. But speak with emotion. And what we mean by that is for you to literally get in the mirror with your letter of gratitude to your CSO, to God, whatever name you have for God, and to speak with emotion, the letter, and look yourself in the eye. There is a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson that says that every man, every person carries an indication of their rank in their eye. You can see it when someone walks in the room. If someone comes in and they're timid, or they feel unsure, uncertain, or they're judging themselves, or they feel insecure, you can literally see it. You can see the look in their eye. And then there are other people who have they call it the eye of the tiger. And you can feel it. They come in and you don't know who the person is, but there's just the way that they carry themselves. Every person carries an indication of their rank in their own eye. And so this technique, what I love about it, before I ever discovered it in Mae McCarthy's The Path to Wealth, I had learned about it previously because my interest was in changing the look in my own eye. And to understand that you have the ability to do that. There's something about words that literally send shockwaves through your entire system. And the trillions of cells that are listening to you and listening for your command will follow whatever direction you tell them to go. You know, some of you know this, I had an experience earlier this week where I wasn't feeling very well and I was having a little bit of a pity party. Yeah. I was having a pity party. I had some pity party streamers, had some pity party goers. I had some pity party cake. I had a whole little pity party happening. And then I remembered, girl, your cells are listening to you. If you keep having this party going on, they're going to follow suit. And I began to speak to my body and to speak to my environment. And it began to say with emotion that I am made in the image likeness of God. The cells in my body listen to my voice. They're not paying attention to what's happening on the news. They're listening to my voice. And in my world, my word is supreme. And therefore, I command whatever resources need to come in. Whatever it is that I need to do, show it to me now. Nothing and no one shall stand in the way of my good health. And those words began to have an immediate effect. And they began to bring ideas to mind for me for what I could do and how I could respond to the moment. And so I sit here today feeling 100% and knowing that my spoken word never deserts me. That I can always say what it is that I want and believe that I shall have it. That's how powerful my spoken word is. That's how infallible my spoken word is. Because I will never fail to get the results of the words that I speak out of my mouth. He who cannot control his mouth cannot control anything. So this is a really powerful tool because, and I think I said this before, that the average person thinks somewhere between 40,000 and 80,000 thoughts in a single day. It's a lot of thoughts. So it isn't that you are not going, that you aren't thinking. You're going to think. The question is, how are you going to think? You're going to think. That's irrefutable. It is, I don't know if there's a such thing as not thinking. I think you can see between thoughts so that they don't run so close together. Deepak Chopra talks about getting into the gap between the thoughts, but you don't get rid of the thinking. You can become the observer of the thinking, but you don't get rid of the thinking, because that's the job of the mind, is to think. And so these techniques that we're giving you, what they're doing is that they are positioning you to do something good with those 40 to 80,000 seeds that you're going to plant in a 24-hour period. And so speaking with emotion conditions the bag of seeds, the bag of seed thoughts in your hand, in your metaphorical hand. Speaking with emotion, these steps that we're giving you, but this and one in particular, it conditions. Think of it like seasoning. I don't know how you like your vegetables, but I have to put a little seasoning on my vegetables to make them taste good. Else they kind of come out kind of bland. So if I'm cooking broccoli or spinach or asparagus or zucchini, am I making you hungry? If I'm cooking corn or succotash or cauliflower, and I've been having a love affair with riced cauliflower. And let me tell you, I discovered, y'all probably already knew this, I discovered shredded Parmesan on riced cauliflower. Baby, let me tell you, that is some good eating. That is some good eating. So that's what speaking with emotion does, is that it seasons the thoughts that you are already going to think. You are going 80,000. Let's put it on the high end. Let's go ahead and go with worst case scenario. 80,000 thoughts you are going to plant inside of a day. Don't you want to put some spice on that? Don't you want to put some prosperity on that? Pull out your, they have the, what is that called? Mrs. Dash. If you're not going to eat salt, you need some Mrs. Prosperity to pour on those thoughts, because they're going in the ground. They're going in the ground. They're going in the soil of your mind, and they're going to produce, because that's just how this thing works. Gosh, I wish I could make it more palatable. That's just how this thing works. So I thought also it would be helpful for me to share with you how I first learned about this. I shared that it wasn't through The Path to Wealth. I had read this book called The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. And this is a book, it's out of print, but I think you can still find it on Kindle. And it's a great book. It was written in 1935. I don't know if Claude, no, he did. He wrote a couple of other things, TNT and like one or two other things. But this book is like a quintessential book. And Phyllis Diller credits him with the career that she had. And she said she'd spent 2 years just studying this material and practicing it and mastering it. And she attributes it for why she had the career that she did. And you can find her on, if you go to do a YouTube search on Phyllis Diller and The Magic of Believing, you'll find her testimony about this book. Anyway, this is what he writes in the chapter on the mirror technique. He says, many years ago, I was the dinner guest of a very wealthy man who owned many patents covering logging and sawmill machinery. He had invited a number of newspaper publishers, bankers, and industrial leaders to his suite in a prominent hotel in order to explain a new method he had devised for mill operations. Liquor flowed freely, and it wasn't long before the host himself was very much intoxicated. Just before dinner was served, I noticed him staggering into his bedroom and pulling himself up abruptly before his dresser. Thinking that I might help him, I followed him to the door of his room. As I stood there, I saw him grab the edge of the dresser top with both hands and stare into the mirror, all the time mumbling as a drunken man sometimes does. Then his words began to make sense, and I moved back a little to watch the performance. I heard him say, "John, they tried to get you drunk, but you're going to fool them. You're sober. You're sober. Cold sober. This is your party, and you've got to be sober." As he kept repeating these words while continuing to stare at the reflection of his eyes in the mirror, I noticed that a transfiguration was taking place. His body was becoming more erect, the muscles of his face were tightening, and his drunken look was disappearing. The whole performance was over in perhaps 5 minutes, but in all my experience as a newspaper man, and more especially as a police reporter, where I had the opportunity to observe many drunken people, I had never seen such a rapid change. Not wanting him to know that I had observed him, I made for the bathroom. When I got back to the dining room, I found the host at the head of the table, and while his face was still a little flushed, to all appearances, he was sober. At the end of the dinner, he presented a very dramatic and convincing picture of his new plans. It wasn't until long afterwards, when I got a better understanding of the power of the subconscious mind, that I understood the science involved in transforming the obviously drunken man into a cold, sober host. And then he says, "I have for many years given the mirror technique to thousands of people with some very unusual results. During these years, a large number of people came to me for help with their problems. There were a surprising number of women, and practically all of them started their stories with weeping spells. The first thing I did was to stand them before a full-length mirror and have them take a good look at themselves. I made them look into their eyes and tell me what they saw there, crybabies or fighters. Their crying soon ceased, and the cases convinced me that a woman cannot weep while looking at herself in a mirror. Whether it be pride, shame, or the repudiated idea that they are weaklings that stops them short is of no moment. The fact remains that the tears cease flowing." And then he goes on to say, "Many great orators, preachers, actors, and statesmen have used this mirror technique for years. Winston Churchill, according to Drew Pearson, never made a speech of importance unless he made it before a mirror first. Pearson also declared that Woodrow Wilson employed the same technique. It's what I call a supercharging method of stepping up the subconscious forces of the speaker so that when he appears before an audience, those forces flow out to and affect his listeners. By using the mirror and rehearsing the speech as you are going to deliver it, you are creating at that moment a picture of yourself." Hear that. Hear that. This is what you're doing when you're reading this gratitude letter. You are creating at that moment a picture of yourself. Your words, the sound of your voice, and your sight of the audience or whatever it is that you're visualizing, to which the immediate future is to bring to reality. By looking into the mirror, you increase the mental vibrations by which the force and meaning of your words will quickly penetrate to the subconscious minds of your audience. This mirror technique gives a clue to the power and the personal magnetism of Billy Sunday, the evangelist. I knew Bill Sunday in his heyday and often heard him preach, but in those days, knowing little or nothing about this mind stuff, I was puzzled as to how he, as well as Gypsy Smith and other great evangelists, was able to influence people to such a remarkable degree. This is the thing. When you get in the mirror and you begin to speak with emotion to yourself, what you are doing is that you are influencing yourself. And if you desire to have influence in the lives of other people, you must first have influence in your own life. He who cannot influence himself will never influence anyone else. And so the work is always on yourself. It is always on disciplining yourself. You are your first priority. So get in the mirror. As she says, hearing yourself speak your words out loud anchors them more fully in your consciousness. Say the words out loud and say them with feeling. Thank you, CSO, for the business that is coming my way. Thank you, let's get specific. Thank you for the $2 million donation that we're expecting. We don't need to know how it's going to come, Spirit. We've simply asked for it. We know that the resources are now being set into motion so that $2 million is now being deposited into our accounts and enabling us to do the work that you have called us to do. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. I know that this works out because everything else that I've asked for has worked out. And I give thanks and praise. And it's going to be a fair exchange of value, that what we have given someone is going to impress their hearts so much that they can't imagine giving us anything less than $2 million. In fact, they wish they could give us more. Create the feeling. You feel that? Create the feeling. Maybe you are shy or timid, or you don't really believe in yourself. Let's say that, right? Because that's something that we're a little ashamed to admit sometimes when we're in New Thought. We don't want to say, I don't know if I believe in myself. If you do this, take my word, it will change the look in your own eye. And so you get into the mirror and you say, Spirit, I thank you, or CSO, I thank you for the self-confidence to do the things that are important to me. I thank you for showing me how to build my self-confidence, how to build trust in myself, and how to believe in the things that you impress upon my heart. I recognize that I am a vessel just like anybody else is a vessel. You haven't given a special dispensation to anyone and not given that same dispensation to me. I have everything that anybody else has. And I thank you right now for helping me to believe in myself at such a degree that I won't even be recognizable to the people who used to know me. And you just speak that. The words change the vibration in the body. It's one of the reasons I love music so much. It's why I wanted that song Unwritten before the sermon, because it just puts you in that space. It's like, yeah, every moment is unwritten. There is no problem I cannot solve. There is no anything that I cannot solve. Everything is at my fingertips, and I have the ability to do something about it. Okay. She says, speak your entire CSO letter out loud with emotion to reinforce your belief that you will receive the good that you want. Oh, I know what I did. I just thought about this. Gosh, this wasn't on the script. Also for self-belief. So sometimes it was hard getting in the mirror and reading the letter to myself. But I tell you what I would do. I would put on the instrumental soundtrack from a superhero movie. I kid you not. And so I wouldn't just read the letter. I mean, I wouldn't have the music so loud that it was competing with my voice. But I would have, like if you think about Rocky, dun 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 dun. Wait, can I get that tune right? Dun 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 dun. Da 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 da. And then I would get in the mirror and I would say, thank you, CSO, for making me who you've made me to be. Thank you. And I got this in the bag. And then I would get into the letter. So you don't have to, what am I trying to say? You can make this your own. And you can use tools to support you. And so there are songs that are like that. Rocky is one of them. Y'all might not be old enough to know Rocky. But you can also use something from Superman. Hans Zimmer is an amazing composer, and many of his instrumentals are online on YouTube. And so I will literally pull up a YouTube video and read my CSO letter to the tune of Superman. Ain't nobody in the bathroom but me. Who am I trying to impress? My subconscious mind. My subconscious mind. That's who I'm trying to impress. I'm not trying to impress Judy. I mean, I love Judy. I think Judy's wonderful. But Judy is not who my cells are listening to. I think Stacy is awesome. Don't you think Stacy is awesome? But Stacy is not who my subconscious mind is listening to. My subconscious mind is listening to me. So I get in there and I have at it because I know that I am creating an impression that is going to produce a result. And I am committed to being in charge and being responsible for the results that I get. This is good stuff. I hope you guys are taking notes. I do hope you will come and hang out with us on Friday because it's so, so powerful. She says on page 42, she says, as you read your gratitude letter with emotion, check in with yourself to confirm that you're using word choices that focus on what you want. So again, this is a iterative process. I don't even know where the idea for the soundtrack came. I can't even tell you that part. I may have heard that from somebody and was like, I'll do it. But I combined the two because again, it was about creating that energy, and music for me can create that energy. And so that, the Rocky soundtrack or Eye of the Tiger. Oh, let me tell you, Eye of the Tiger, that song, yes. And so I might play that song before I read the letter, because that one has lyrics. I'm not competing with the lyrics of my words. Or I might play the instrumental underneath me reading the letter. Again, I'm practicing and I'm getting in the mirror and I'm working with me because I'm changing me. Did you know that I can't change you? Did you know that? Did you know that you can't change me? Isn't that something? As much as you want to, as much as I want to, we don't have the power to change each other. The only influence I have, the only authority I have, the only dominion I have is over this. That's it. And so the conversation has to be with myself. The conversation has to be with my subconscious mind. And so I want the best for you. I will pray for the best for you, but I honestly have to free you to do the work yourself. Now, I'm grateful that you're in a spiritual community and that you're getting this kind of information so that you will know that that the power to change is within your hands, but it really is up to you. She says on page 44, the spoken word is an incredibly powerful tool for shaping the world we live in. If your energy level has been low or you've been receiving what you don't want, examine the words that you're using. Your words are so powerful. They will change your entire life. They are changing your entire life. And so I strongly encourage you to think your best thoughts, to write them down in a gratitude letter to God, and to read that letter aloud. Again, you've got 80,000 thoughts that are going to be planted by the end of the day. And this is for an old saying, but I learned about it in The Magic of Believing. And he says, if you do not follow your own thoughts, then you will follow the thoughts of the fellow who followed his. If you do not follow your own thoughts, then you will follow the thoughts of the fellow who followed his. Many of us, the 80,000 thoughts that we think in a day have been influenced by family and friends and culture and neighborhood and society and country and all kinds of stuff. It takes bravery to think your own thoughts. And this process that we are giving you is putting you in a position to be able to do that. God bless you.